So one of the biggest draws to purchasing and owning a Tesla is the low running cost. No fuel, no maintenance, you pretty much just pay your car note if you have one and your insurance. And while that is true for the most part, it's not the whole story. As a Tesla owner for almost 3 years now, there are some hidden expenses I wish I had known sooner, or at the very least before purchasing the car. Especially the last one that we're going to be talking about, though it is kind of a new one. First up is maintenance, and despite what some people will tell you, it isn't actually zero. Cabin air filter replacements. Tesla recommends every 2 years, and if you're wanting them to do it for you, it can vary on how expensive it'll be. If you're just getting replacements, it'll be $17 a pop, and well, you need two, so $34 plus labor. I've seen $60, give or take. However, if you're also having your coils cleaned, which is recommended, then another $60 or so for labor. Most quotes I've seen to get everything done is around $120. This is, however, a very easy DIY, so you could just buy the filters, replace and clean the coils yourself for a fraction of the cost. AC desiccant bag replacements. Tesla recommends every 4 years, 6 if your Tesla is a 2017 through a 2021. Tesla charges anywhere between $300 to $400 to do this. Now, what's actually being replaced is only like $40, but you got to work with refrigerant, and most DIYers just won't bother. Cleaning and lubricating your brake calipers every year, or 12,500 miles. This is a very straightforward DIY that won't cost you much if you already have tools for lifting the car and removing the wheels, but Tesla will do it for you. I've seen anywhere between $150 to $300. However, that's a pretty big range, so if you've recently had this done by Tesla, let me know how much they charged you. You should also be performing a brake fluid health check or replacing every 4 years. Though Tesla used to recommend 2 years, so a lot of people actually just go ahead and check at 2 years. This is also a very straightforward DIY, and I've seen Tesla charge anywhere from $25 to $70 just to check, and upwards of $200 to replace. You can get a tester pin to check it yourself, cheaper than what Tesla would charge you to check it just once. I'll have the one that I have linked below. As for changing the fluid, if you don't have a friend to help you, you could always buy one of those vacuum thingies that let you do it yourself for cheaper than what Tesla would charge you to change it just one time. I'll also have that linked below. And finally, tire rotations every 6,250 miles. Tesla charges anywhere from $50 to $100+ to come out to your house or place of work to do this for you. This is one of those things where as long as they're not charging you over $100, and they're willing to come out to your place of work and rotate your tires in the parking lot, then I actually think it's a pretty good deal. So while yes, this is still a lot less maintenance compared to an ICE car, even if you have Tesla do all of this for you and pay their prices instead of DIYing, I mean, have you seen the 3 to 4 year maintenance cost on like a similarly priced Audi or BMW? There still is some cost for maintenance. Now, you might want to set aside some of the money that you are saving on maintenance for this next expense, tires. Tires tend to wear more quickly and require replacing more often on a Tesla compared to the equivalent ICE vehicle. Why is this? Well, there's 2 reasons. First, and the lesser of the 2 reasons, Teslas are heavy vehicles. If they weighed half the amount that they do weigh, your tires wouldn't wear nearly as quickly. But secondly, and the main cause, well, I've dubbed it the electric foot. The acceleration is very addicting, but blasting off at every red light is just not good for your tires. Now, thankfully, this need to stomp the accelerator at least 3 times a day does tend to wear off after some time. The price for tires varies widely depending on the brand and the type of tire, but assuming you're not getting like garbage, no-name tires, expect somewhere in the $250 to $350 range per tire. One tip I will give is to not get OE tires, as they tend to be pretty crap in areas like wet braking, and they're just not built for longevity. There was a video recently published by a channel called Tire Reviews where he went over just this and why OE tires are actually pretty bad. But yeah, you take the OE tire just not being built to last long and the electric foot. Well, now you found the reason why most new owners say that their first set of tires only lasted for 10 to 15,000 miles. Now, the third hidden expense, Accessories. Teslas are very bare bones. Like, some models don't even come with floor mats, which blows my mind because Teslas still start at like north of 30 grand. I'll have all the accessories that I personally use linked down below, but my top 5 must-haves are as follows. Screen protector for protecting the one thing that has all the vital information related to your vehicle on it. A high-quality tempered glass one will run you around 30 bucks. All-weather floor mats for protecting the carpet. If you don't get mats and you're not cleaning the carpets at least once every week, expect them to look awful after like a month. A set for the interior, so driver, passenger, and rear passenger, shouldn't run you more than like $180. You can also get mats for the trunk, sub-trunk, and front trunk, and that should also not run you more than like $180. Mud flaps for protecting your paint. These are around $40. Inserts for keeping things organized. All that extra storage space is great, but things will get mixed up and lost just in those chasms that are the center console areas. Inserts will be 20 to 25 bucks a piece. And finally, jack pads. Keep these in the car in case you ever need to lift the car, like in the event that you need roadside assistance and the people that come to you don't have jack pads. If you don't have jack pads, well then you're gonna run the risk of damaging the battery. These are around 40 bucks. Now, all the prices that I just mentioned, you can actually subtract 15% with code CYBERLOVE at teststuff.com. Our Valentine's Day sale is live and is valid through President's Day, or Monday, February 19th. We're also offering free shipping on qualifying orders. Now, this next hidden expense are actually things you have to pay for after the fact in order to fully utilize your vehicle's potential features. This includes premium connectivity, full self-driving, acceleration boost, and even heated seats. Premium connectivity will run you $10 a month or $100 upfront if you pay for the entire year. And it enables everything on screen here, along with some other things like icons for the stoplights and stop signs on your map. I am not a big fan of subscription-based services, but this is more like a cell phone, like data connectivity, so it's fine with me, and I really do think it's a no-brainer to get. And I know some people will say, oh, well, you can just tether to your hotspot. I don't want to bother with that, right? I just want my car to be able to do it by itself. Now, something that I would not recommend you subscribe to is full self-driving. If you manage to not get scammed paying $12,000, or God forbid you paid $15,000 up front, congratulations. Now, don't get scammed into paying $200 a month for it. Before the FSD stands come out of the woodworks, it's cool, right? Don't get me wrong. I enjoy my time on FSD. But a lot of people think you need FSD for the car to stay in its lane, accelerating and decelerating based on traffic. And that's just not true. Normal autopilot that comes free with every Tesla does just that. No, it won't change lanes on its own or take an exit by itself, but for $12,000 or $200 a month, I'd gladly get in your car and change lanes for you if you were paying me that much. Plus, not to mention, things like Auto Park and Summon still don't work on non-USS Teslas. Next up is acceleration boost, which if you've never seen this before, it's only available on the Model 3 and Y long-range versions. And it increases the 0 to 60 by half a second for $2,000, which is actually kind of not a bad deal in terms of price to performance. Compared that to an ICE car, it would take a lot more than just $2,000. However, Tesla also offers acceleration boost via the referral program for, I believe, 10,000 credits, which is how many credits you get for referring just one person. So you could just get this for free by just referring one person. And finally, rear heated seats. Now, these come standard on all Teslas for free nowadays, but if you are picking up a used pre-2022 Tesla and it's a base Model 3, then these won't come standard, but you can pay $200 within the app to enable the rear heated seats. And whether this is worth it or not is entirely up to you, and if you use your back seats enough to warrant it. Now, the reason charging is the next hidden expense is because of all the misconceptions around it. Like, some people think it's entirely free, like you never have to pay for it. And other people think that you need to pay tens of thousands of dollars to get a specialized home charging station installed. And while those technically could be true, it's like a 99.9% chance that that's not gonna be true for you. First up, home charging. It'll run you anywhere from a few $100s to have a NEMA 1450 plug installed, up to several thousand if you're getting a fancy wall charger installed several hundred feet from your breaker on a stand or something outside. You also may face your current electrical situation not being able to support adding a 240 volt charger and needing to upgrade your system, like your entire system. And prices vary drastically depending on location and what you're having done. I paid around $250 to have a NEMA 1450 installed about 2 feet away from my breaker box. And the charger that I use came free with the car. However, before that and before I got a home, I was just charging off a normal 110 outlet. So my effective cost to have a charging station was zero because, like I said, the charger came with the car. Now, speaking of that charger, it's the Gen 2 mobile connector, which is what most people would recommend if you are charging off something like a 1450. Those no longer come free with the car, so they will run you about $230 straight from Tesla. I have a whole home charging video that goes much more in depth on all of this that I'll link down below. Now, last thing about home charging, make sure you're signing up for some form of off-peak electrical plan if your electric company offers it, assuming that it makes sense for you. Most electric companies will have a plan that makes your electricity cheaper overnight when you'd be asleep and the car is charging. My electric company offers something similar to this that took my price per kilowatt hour from almost 10 cents down to 6 cents. 40% cheaper. So now I'm paying less than $5 to fully fill up my car. So make sure you give your electric company a call. Now for supercharging, where there's this big misconception that it's either free or super cheap. And well, it's neither of those. My local supercharger charges about 30 cents per kilowatt hour. So 5 times more expensive compared to at home. That's $25 to fully charge my car. That's not that far off of what the other car in my household, which is a gas car, pays to fill up its tank. And keep in mind, just like gas stations, the price is relative to location. So superchargers out in places like California where gas is more expensive are also going to be more expensive. I had a buddy purchase a Tesla a few years back thinking that it would save him a ton of money on fuel, even though he had no way to charge at home and he was just going to rely on the supercharger network. He ended up selling the car about 6 months later because he was still paying around the same price as it would be for gas, but he was also spending a ton of time at the superchargers charging. Last thing about supercharging, idle fees. If you are plugged in at a supercharging site that is full enough, there's enough people there, and your car isn't charging, like you hit your charge limit and you don't unplug, they're gonna start charging you upwards of $1 a minute that you stay plugged in. So make sure you're unplugging like as soon as you're done charging. Yes, there is a grace period, but it's not long at all. For our 6th hidden expense, insurance. Now, while the cost to insure a Tesla varies widely on a ton of factors like age, gender, location, driving history, Teslas do tend to be more expensive to insure. And well, this is just because the parts and or cost of labor to fix something in the event of an accident are and is just more expensive. This is one of those things that I see on forums all the time. People place an order for a Tesla, delivery date comes up, they need to submit insurance just to find out that their premium is 25 to 50% more than their last vehicle that costs the same as their Tesla. Like I said, it varies and you may actually pay less, but generally they're more expensive to insure. It's also probably because a large majority of Tesla owners are males in their mid-20s, so that's probably affecting the average. If you're really looking to save money, don't be loyal to like an insurance company. Trust me, they don't actually care about you. Every time your insurance is up for renewal, assuming you pay 6 months to a year premiums just upfront, shop around. This list right here are all the insurance companies that I go through whenever my insurance is up for renewal to see if they can offer me a better price. The last time I did this, I ended up saving close to like $500 for the same coverage, and all it cost was an hour or 2 of my time. Now, I know a lot of YouTubers won't say what they pay, but I'll gladly tell you all, I'm paying roughly about $1,000 every 6 months for 250, 500, 250 coverage. And that's just for my 2022 Model 3 Performance, not including any discounts that I get with like homeowners insurance bundled or the other car in our household bundled. I used to pay like $850 to $900 when I first got my Tesla back in like 2021, but insurance as a whole has just been on the rise lately. I feel sorry for all the people down in Florida. Apparently insurance rates are just insane insane down there, and some insurance companies are just straight up leaving the state. And our final hidden expense, this one always surprises people and will probably surprise you if you're a new owner: registration and renewals. A lot of people know that when you purchase gas, a certain amount of that goes toward maintaining and developing the transportation infrastructure, otherwise known as a road tax. Well, when you drive an EV, you stop buying gas and thus paying a road tax, yet you're still using the road. And for a while, EV owners just got away with this scot-free. Well, not anymore. A lot of states are now including an extra fee for owning an electric vehicle. Texas, for example, just introduced a $200 yearly fee. My state, Kentucky, has a $120 yearly fee that just went into effect this year, and many more states are following. The $120 that Kentucky is charging at 29 cents per gallon for road tax assumes 413 gallons purchased per year, or around 12,000 miles driven, assuming you're driving a vehicle that gets on average like 30 miles to the gallon. I would say that's a lot more fair than what Texas is charging at like 200, because with their 20 cents per gallon tax, they're assuming like 1,000 gallons purchased yearly or 30,000 miles driven at 30 miles to the gallon. Not to mention, some states are starting to impose a tax just on public charging. So yeah, don't be surprised when you go to register the car if you're a new owner or if you're going in for renewal, because a lot of these fees are going into effect or went into effect at the start of this year, and you get slapped with an EV fee. Honestly, I think what sparked the idea for this video was that I've just been getting a lot more like in-person questions lately from just random people about the actual cost of these cars after you've purchased them. And I think it's probably because Tesla has been so aggressive on price cuts. So more people are just genuinely interested, which, don't get me wrong, is great, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Yes, the $20,000 battery repair every 2 years is a complete myth, and I tell them that actually is one of the questions that I get asked like a lot. Is it true you got to replace the battery? And it's a crazy amount. But I do let them know on other things like that renewal fee, or the fact that supercharging isn't free and it's actually almost as expensive as gas. Yes, as a whole, they are a lot cheaper in terms of running costs than their gasoline counterparts, but they do have expenses that you just don't really think about or figure out until you become an owner. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget code CYBERLOVE at teststuff.com for 15% off through President's Day. If you are new around here and you want to see more Tesla related stuff in your YouTube feed, then feel free to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.